There's been a lot of documents being leaked from federal authorities regarding the NICS system lately. This is great news because there's a lot of things taking place behind the scenes that we never even dreamed of. Some of which we kind of thought were actually happening, but the fact that we're seeing it in black and white now, this is a big deal. The latest is that according to an FBI user manual of NICS, if you have an FFF, which is a foreign fugitive file, the FBI will then share your NICS information with Interpol, which is the International Policing System. This is a big deal. Oftentimes, people can have an FFF for things in other countries that are illegal that are not illegal in the United States. So, for example, if my wife and we travel to a Middle Eastern country and she refuses to wear a headdress or drives a car or something that we didn't even think twice about here, now we have an FFF. Especially if we flee that country, which of course we absolutely would if that was the case, versus spending time in prison or having our hands chopped off or something. Or if we go to a European country and we don't accommodate their COVID policy exactly how they want us to, or whatever the case may be, tiny infractions. And then if we don't stick around to go that court system, that foreign court system, which we definitely would not, and we flee, which we would, we now have an FFF. Which, who cares? Just don't go back to that country anymore. Well, now you might be having problems in the United States because of it. Even though these things are not illegal in the United States, you could be having problems in the United States. So what's this even look like? Well, if I have an FFF and I go and I purchase a gun, the FBI will know that I have that FFF. Well, why do they know? Well, they check 4 systems. They check the Interstate ID Index, they check the NICS Index, they check the ICE database, and the NCIC, or the National Criminal Information Center, which has your foreign fugitive files if you have any. Depending on what that violation is, they probably will not block your ability to buy that gun. However, what they will do is they will then contact that FFL and they'll get all your information from that place you purchased that gun from, your name, address, date of birth, the gun you bought, the serial number, etc., and then they share all of that information with Interpol. This is a huge problem. The fact that the FBI is sharing our personal information, personal American information, with foreign entities makes them traitors, in my opinion. And the fact that because I might have some sort of crazy infraction and some crazy law in a country that's crazy, then now I'm going to be, every time I go buy a gun, that information is shared with Interpol. Every single time my private, personal information is then shared with Interpol. This is a huge problem, and I hope everybody begins to see this as a huge problem. Now, these things, I knew they were sharing our information. I never dreamed they would be sharing our information with international authorities. So again, if you go to a foreign country and you have any sort of infraction and then you leave, you don't stay and go their court systems or whatever it is. And I wouldn't either. I mean, if you're fleeing the country, I would too. There's no way I'm going to court in those countries, risking some sort of prison time or worse because of silly laws that don't apply to Americans. And then suddenly the FBI now is going to share that information with Interpol. It's a big deal. And again, you might say, well, I just won't go to that country. But now when you try to then go to another country, like let's say we try to go to a more American-friendly country like Canada or something, you will then have passport issues and you may be having all sorts of travel issues all of a sudden. Why? Because the FBI betrayed you and they shared your information with Interpol. When the United States federal authorities are sharing personal information from non-criminals with foreign entities who they think they're criminals, again, that, in my opinion, makes them traitors. Love to hear your thoughts on all this. Again, I think that the fact that this is happening is insane. This has to be addressed, and I do believe that it is at the base of why they want universal background checks. because now all of a sudden this becomes a whole other thing when those laws in the United States begin to be passed. So again, love to hear your thoughts on all this. I'm sure this isn't a surprise to you. It was kind of a surprise to me, to be quite honest. You know, I knew they were sharing their information. I never dreamed they'd share it with foreign entities. Never, ever dreamed they would be doing that. And again, in my opinion, that makes them traitors. So, love to hear your thoughts on it. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel through Patreon, that link's below. We're now on Instagram. That link's also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.